Hi, I'm Cece. Welcome to my channel. I try to post videos once a week, usually on Monday or Tuesday, and I kind of talk about a little bit of everything on here. You're honestly gonna have to just stick around and see if you like it. But today I want to talk about the trend of corporate wokeness. So I've been thinking about this a lot because I've been seeing this Old Navy commercial on Hulu nonstop. Yes, we are too cheap to spring for Hulu without ads, but I might have to just to stop seeing this stupid commercial. I think the song in the commercial is a parody of Lizzo's Boys, but it's like a back to school commercial with all these kids dancing around, and they changed the lyrics, and one of the lyrics is like, gender roles are so passe.
Looks for history in the class play, cause gender norms are so passe.
And I think it's a perfect example of something that seems to have been a huge trend in the past few years, which is corporations trying to present this ultra woke social justice-y image because that is what's popular now. And I also want to make a distinction that I'm not on like small businesses who put a Black Lives Matter sign in their window. I think that's totally different. I'm talking about giant corporations who publicly show off this facade of wokeness when maybe their actual actions and the way that they run their businesses don't align with that. Some other examples are Target's Pride collection that it does every June. Shell Oil changed their name to She'll, like she will, like she apostrophe double L for International Women's Day. I thought that was a joke. It turns out it was real. I'm not sure what that was supposed to accomplish for feminism, but Target and American Eagle, among other clothing brands, have diversified their models a lot to represent different body types, ethnicities, genders, etc. Various corporations this summer came out in support of Black Lives Matter. And on the one hand, part of me likes seeing corporations getting on board with these movements because I think it's a sign that society really is changing. If it weren't already really popular to support the gay rights movement or Black Lives Matter, Target would probably not be hopping on those bandwagons. But I also think more often than not, if you do just a little bit of digging, you can see that this woke facade is just that. It's nothing more than a facade designed to drum up business. Maybe I'm a cynic, but I just kind of assume that corporations are making decisions not out of altruism, but out of a desire for profit because we live in a capitalist society and that is literally their entire purpose. For example, you can look at Dove's Real Beauty body positive campaign from a few years ago. This campaign made a point to feature really diverse models of all sizes, all ethnicities, all body types, and kind of push this feel good, you're beautiful no matter what message. This is kind of an aside, but I tend to dislike this kind of messaging anyway, that all women are beautiful, because I think it's still putting the focus on female beauty and asserting that that is the most important thing. I think a better message could be all women have value and worth and talent beyond just their physical appearance. That's just my 2 cents. But back to the point. So Dove's target audience with this campaign is clearly women. If I had to guess, I would guess like young moms, and it is designed to target and pander to women's insecurities about their appearance. However, Dove is owned by Procter & Gamble, who also owns Axe body spray. Hello, it's editing me. I fact-checked myself and I am wrong. Dove and Axe are both owned by Unilever, not Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble owns like everything else, so that's why I was confused, but my point still stands because they are owned by the same parent company. Axe commercials, in my opinion, are pretty gross and misogynistic by modern standards especially, but you can see how they really tailor their message to fit their target demographic. Obviously, advertising does that anyway, no matter what you're advertising, but when they think it will help their bottom line, those morals and that positive message just kind of go out the window. Another example is Adidas athletic gear. They were called out recently for selling a pride pack of Pride-themed merchandise. Meanwhile, they sponsored the World Cup in Russia, whose government is notoriously homophobic and anti-LGBT. So even if their motivations aren't genuine, which I think we can probably all agree they're not, is this sort of faux wokeness of corporations doing harm or doing any good, or neither? And I think it depends. For example, some corporations do donate to social justice organizations like the NAACP or the ACLU, undoubtedly to help their image. And of course, it depends on what specific organization it is and what they're doing with those funds. But I would argue that the end result of that is probably still a net positive. When it comes to the trend of clothing brands diversifying their models, I am actually all for this one. I don't really see a downside here. At first, I rolled my eyes and kind of thought like, okay, this is just stupid corporate pandering, which it is. But to my surprise, I think it has genuinely had a positive impact on my body image and my self-esteem. And a lot of my female friends have said that they agree with me. Like, I genuinely enjoy seeing more representation of my body type and all kinds of body types. I think it's undoubtedly a good thing for people, especially young people who are not white, to see more people who look like them represented. And we're also starting to see more ads that are not photoshopped or airbrushed and show small imperfections on models' faces and bodies. So yeah, I think this one is good. I don't really see a downside here. And I think that even if corporations are making these changes in order to sort of earn woke points from their consumer base and drum up more business, it can still be a net positive. I do think it can become a problem when they use these sort of hollow actions as a distraction from the terrible things they're actually doing behind the scenes, which unfortunately seems to be the case more often than not. So for example, you probably remember the frenzy in 2017 or 2018 to ban plastic straws. A bunch of companies vowed to get rid of and stop using plastic straws in the next few years, among them Royal Caribbean Cruises and a bunch of other cruise lines and a bunch of airlines. However, the airline industry and the cruise industry are some of the biggest contributors to pollution and climate change, period, just due to the fossil fuels they use and the sheer amount of waste that they generate. Getting rid of plastic straws is not really going to cost them anything, nor is it going to really make a dent in the huge amount of waste and pollution they produce. What it did do was drum up good PR for them and also shift focus away from the harm that they're doing. Another example of this is something that I only learned recently, that BP oil actually popularized the idea of the personal carbon footprint, which, if you don't know what that is, it encourages individuals to track their personal carbon emissions and contributions to climate change based on things like how much you drive, how you eat, how much waste you generate, etc. But oil companies are also among the biggest contributors to climate change. They know that we know this. So by popularizing the notion of individual carbon footprints, they effectively got people to take personal responsibility for climate change rather than trying to hold accountable corporations like BP, who are responsible for much more significant contributions to climate change. There's a great piece in The Atlantic that I think does a really good job of explaining this phenomenon of corporate wokeness, and I want to read a paragraph from it. It says, brands will gravitate towards low-cost, high-noise signals as a substitute for genuine reform to ensure their survival. In fact, let's go further. Those with power inside institutions love splashy progressive gestures, solemn, monochrome social media posts deploring racism, appointing their first woman to the board, firing low-level employees who attract online fury because they help preserve their power. Those at the top, who are disproportionately white, male, wealthy, and highly educated, are not being asked to give up anything themselves. I think that kind of sums it up. I also think that corporations co-opting certain movements can in some cases cheapen them and actually be harmful to the overall goals of the movement. Let's touch again on Target's Pride collection. It is very corporate, very commercialized. It's basically a line of anything that you could already purchase at Target with a rainbow slapped on it. And I feel like it actually really cheapens a movement that was born out of a genuine struggle, a genuine desire for justice and change, and kind of reduces it to rainbows and glitter. Honestly, some of Target's Pride collection is so pandering. It's like rainbow t-shirts that say stuff like Slay Queen and like Listerine in a rainbow bottle. And to reduce the decades-long struggle of a group of marginalized people to rainbow t-shirts and sayings in order to make money is kind of gross in my opinion. So, watching this back, I feel like I was a little too blasé with how I spoke about this because I don't at all want to discount what it might mean to people in the LGBT community to see something like a Pride collection at Target, because that is undoubtedly a sign of kind of how far things have come, that instead of discriminating against you, the sort of mainstream corporate culture is now pandering to you. But I am more just criticizing them for coming out coming out in support of the LGBT community only when it is convenient and profitable for them, and also in this very sort of shallow, commercialized way. That's all I'm trying to say. To be fair to Target, they did donate to GLSEN, which is an organization dedicated to making schools inclusive and safe for LGBTQ plus youth. So that's great. However, I just have a hard time giving ultra wealthy corporations or individuals a lot of credit for donating money. To put things in perspective, Target donated $100,000 to this organization, and their net worth is $62.6 billion. If my math is correct, which it may not be, I'm very bad at math, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about this, that is 0.00015% of their net worth. I'm not saying that corporations or wealthy individuals are obligated to donate all of their money to any cause, but I don't think they should necessarily be applauded for it either when it's really no skin off their back. And also what they donated is probably far less than what they earned from selling this Pride collection. So overall, I just feel like it's important to be aware of this kind of faux activism and to dig a little deeper and see what kind of activities and business practices these companies are actually engaging in and what their other motivations might be. Obviously, none of us can fix capitalism on our own, and sometimes you just have to order from Amazon, and that is okay. But I do think educating ourselves about this kind of thing can help us to effectively hold these companies accountable. I think things to look into when you look at what businesses you want to support are less like what showy things do they do to try and appear super woke, and more like how do they treat their employees? Do they give them health insurance and paid time off and things like that? Just look at their real actions and if they align with the morals that they proclaim to have, and if they do, great. Well, that is it for today. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.